everyone, this is Kimberly from Kimberly's Fabric Stash, and it's Fabric Bundle Friday. We are so happy that you've joined us. If you can hear me, if you could give me a thumbs up, that'd be fantastic. It's Valentine's Day, which is even more special than our normal Friday, which is always cool. I hope everybody is having a good Valentine's Day. The sun is actually kind of peeking through the clouds here in Pittsburgh, so we can't have a bad day if there's a little bit of sunshine, because apparently we're not allowed to have sunshine in Pittsburgh. And we are going to go over some of the things that have come in this week as in new stock. We'll discuss a couple of things about notions and go over all the fun things that are going on here at Kimberlys. We have a praise. Our friend Paula, who is on our prayer list, she is coming around doing better, so we're so happy that she is on the mend. And if you have a prayer request, we do a prayer list in our weekly newsletter. I'm a big believer in prayer and think that everybody needs a little prayer in their lives, or some people need a whole lot of prayer. So we do have a prayer more or less list going on in the weekly newsletter. If you don't get my new weekly newsletter, make sure that you head over to my website. There's a link up there at the top of our Facebook page. Click that link, it'll take you over to the website. On the right hand side, there's a column that says newsletter sign up. If you'd go ahead and fill that out, you would also start receiving our weekly newsletter. So that is not just for the prayer requests, of course, but all the other things that are going on, products we got in, little sewing tips, recipe. We always have a recipe in there as well. So make sure that you sign up for the newsletter. And if you are on YouTube or like YouTube, make sure you go over to our YouTube page. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so that YouTube will monetize our site, and therefore I'm then going to actually get paid to help bring you more great videos like this one, and reviews on books and patterns and all that kind of stuff. So if you are on YouTube, you like YouTube, find us over there. It's under Kimberly's Fabric Stash, and go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we're really getting close. We're at 580 subscribers, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but that's pretty good. And you know, once we get to 1,000, we're in really good shape then. So let's get started. Today we're going to go over let's start with a product that's come in this week. It's more of a restock than brand new product. We have back in stock the Moda Grunge that I'm going to hold it up, but it's going to be kind of like odd for you. This is actually let's see if we get it out of the light. Okay. So this is the green, white, bluish blender that's very, very popular. It's kind of hard to see the blue through here, but it is a very faint blue. A lot of people like this grunge for blender because it goes with like lots of colorways. You would think, oh, well, there's green and blue in it, and there's a little bit of white. It goes with just an amazing amount of fabrics that have a touch of green or a touch of blue. So I have anything we talk about today, I've gone ahead and put the link on the Facebook page. So if you see something you like, there is a link, and it'll take you over to the shop page, and you can look at it and decide if you really like it and purchase it if you want to. But so that's the Moda Grunge. It's considered white, but it's not their whitest white. So like I said, there is a hint of green and a hint of blue in the fabric. The other thing that we got back in stock this week, this is a very popular blender. It seems to come up with at like patriotic times or Christmas time. We can use it at Valentine's Day. And this is the Moda Swirls. This is the red swirls. I'm going to hold it up here. So we like this because, one, it's a Moda fabric, and again, you can use it in anything that needs a good red. So if you're doing like a boys quilt and you need a good pop of red, it's like a cherry red. It's not a burgundy or anything like that. So sometimes computer screens can make you see different things that aren't really there, and in this case, it is a cherry red. So that is the Moda Swirls, and again, that link is on the page as well. Then the other thing we got in stock, back in stock, is our very, very popular Wilmington Scroll Blender. And this is a royal blue that has a touch of very faint light blue going through the scroll, as well as like a darker blue. So if you need a blender for whatever you're quilting. It could be patriotic themed, or if you're doing like a blue and white quilt or something to that effect, this is a fantastic blender. The scroll has wonderful movement, and we actually carry that in several different colors. So if you like scrolls and you don't want just a solid background, the Wilmington print scrolls are very good quality. Everything I always show is always quilt shop quality. Thread counts are high, the dye lots are good, and you'll have a quilt that you can cherish for a long, long time without worrying about whether it was going to fade or fall apart. Now, granted, these things aren't going to probably last like 200 years, but we're not going to be around in 200 years to see it anyway. But the point is they're good quilt shop quality materials. And those of you that are quilters know the importance of using the best possible fabrics for your quilts, because anything that has like a thin thread count, you're going to wash it, it's going to fall apart, or it's going to stretch. And I'm going to get on my soapbox here because I think this is really important to everybody. The fabric that you buy in a big box retail store is not printed on the same weight. So people always say, well, I'm going to go cheap on my first quilt because I don't know if I'm going to like this, and I don't want to spend a lot of money. Well, big box retail, if you actually look at how much it is per yard, it's actually, a lot of it's $11.99, and then you have your coupon, which brings it down some, but you're not getting a good thread count. And so your first quilt project more than likely is going to be a work of frustration, because when you iron it, it's not going to hold its shape, or it's going to shrink. And then if you wash it, it's going to fade. And I've taught lots of classes, and I've let people bring classes, big quilt box retail fabrics into my classes, and they end up with a lot more frustration because those fabrics just do not hold up, and they don't keep their squareness or their shape, especially after we do a lot of pressing, because once we hit that with the iron, it's going to do its own thing. And a lot of times, you might have saved a couple bucks, but in the long run, you're going to be a lot more frustrated with the quality. Your 1/4-inch seams aren't going to be, as perfect as what they would be if you were working on good materials. So now I'm going to get down off my soapbox, and we'll move on to other cool things that we got in and discussed this week. So the next thing I want to talk about is, this is more of a fun for me, is I went last night to a colonial hand sewing class south of here, because on the weekends I volunteer at a local museum, and we dress up in colonial clothing and talk to visitors at this museum about colonial times and living during that lifetime. Well, my instructor is a former Williamsburg seamstress for Colonial Williamsburg, and she's a wealth of knowledge, but she had a really cool thing that I've always wanted to have, and I've never got one because they're always antiques, they're very expensive. She had the coolest thing. If you know what this is, go ahead and comment. I'll try and give you a little bit of an angle here, and I'll give you a second to think about what you think this might be. And if you have an idea, go ahead and send up a comment on what it is if you happen to know. All right, I'll give you a second. Okay, apparently nobody really knows. Well, what this is called a sewing bird. And back in the day when there was seamstresses and their hand sewing, they needed always an extra pair of hands because they want to hold the material, have the material held, and then sew at the same time. It would go faster for them. So what this is a clamping system here. So I'm going to hold this up. Now we're going to unscrew it. So this right here would go into a table. You'd slide that into the table, and then you would turn the very cool thing there. And up here is a pin cushion, and it will hold your needle and pins. Then what happens is it's clamped to the table, and right here you pull down on this, it opens the bird's mouth, and it will hold the fabric taut while you're hand sewing. So this is called a sewing bird, and they were used a lot during the days of hand sewing before we had sewing machines, to help seamstresses hold their fabrics while they were while they were hand sewing. So it's an extra pair of hands. But anyway, so she had one for sale last night, and it was very reasonable, and I must have it because it's also my birthday this month, so I got to have myself a little birthday treat, and this is my new fun thing. So I'm really excited to share this with you. If you have a sewing bird, that's awesome. I'm really happy about that. So I think they're just pretty cool. So we're gonna put him down. All right, now let's see. The next thing we want to talk about this week is a couple of notions that you might not be aware of, or if you are aware of them and have them, that's fantastic. But some people just aren't aware of some of the cool notions that are on the market. So we're going to go over a couple of these things. One of them is called Sower's Aid, and we use this a lot in our shop when we're sewing, because there's a lot of times that the threads just need a little help. And basically what this is it's a lubricant, and you can use it on the sewing machine. You could also, which is mostly like where the application is, but it helps smooth out the process of the sewing, and it helps that glide through the sewing machine a little better. So basically the Sower's Aid is there to just lubricate things and help it move through. So this is a really neat product. If you use it and love it, go ahead and send us a like and let us know, or comment why you love your Sower's Aid. But this one is a great notion to have, and I don't think enough people use it. So maybe you want to try it and let us know what you think. So that's Sower's Aid. The next thing is this one here. Now, this is the Seam Fix Seam Ripper, and I'm showing it in the package, and I probably should have it out of the package, but I'm going to kind of point out the good qualities of this seam ripper. So this seam ripper has a rubber head here and a rubber head or bottom there. And what we love about this is when you take off the tip, right here is what that would look like. So if you take off this portion here, here's your tip, regular seam ripper, nothing special about that. But what happens is if you've unsewn and you rip that seam, when you get done, there's always those threads that are poking out from the fabric, and you have to sit there and pick at the threads, and it's annoying. Well, what you do at this point is put the head back on, and the rubber, you sit there and push it over those threads, and it will pull those threads up from the fabric, so you're not sitting there having to spend time picking it. So this is a fantastic seam ripper. I think it's pretty versatile, and one that I would definitely recommend. If you have a friend that's new to sewing, you might want to pick one of these up and give it as a gift, because it is a very nice seam ripper, but it's not like a normal, boring, ordinary seam ripper, because it has those daubers on it, so you can use them to pull those threads and make your sewing or unsewing go a lot faster than sitting there picking threads, because that's just kind of an annoying thing to do when you're trying to get a project done. So that's our cool seam ripper. It's called the Seam Fix Seam Ripper. So there's that. Now, my other favorite notion that I've been just falling absolutely in love with it, because I've been doing a lot more wool and applique work, a lot more cross-stitch work, and I have another project going right now that I've had to heat and bond, and I spend a lot of time cutting out because it's a Celtic design that I hope to be sharing with you soon. But one of the things that I've been using, and I cannot stress enough, that scissors are the most almost the most important tool in a sewing room, aside from the sewing machine and those kinds of things. And in this case, these are called the Karen K. Buckley Perfect Scissors. Okay, now this is a very, very good scissor, because this top blade here is extremely sharp. So if you're doing applique work and you need to cut out around leaves or in tight spots, this tip is so sharp. I mean, you almost have to be careful that you don't actually catch yourself when you're snipping, because it will cut you. But these are lightweight. Now, for people like me that have been sewing for, let's see, birthday minus 12, 35 years now, my hands, they're kind of having those days where they just don't feel like working. And a lot of you are in the same position I'm in, where the hands aren't as strong as they used to be, and they get tired a lot faster, or they're a little bit numb, or something to that effect. These are lightweight scissors. So if you're working with applique, or doing a lot of applique or a lot of wool, these scissors are very nice. Plus, it has this nice big opening here, so your hands can reach in, grab them. And you can do a lot of cutting without having the hands get tired and feel like you've been just cutting all day. So I would definitely recommend these. Again, these would make a really nice gift for maybe a friend that does applique or works in wool. I've done a lot of cutting in wool, and they have not lost their edge yet, so they're still really sharp. But I think a good pair of scissors is a necessity for everybody. Like, you just have to have a good set of scissors. So that's my big recommendation this week for a notion that you probably should have, or if think about buying, or if you're looking to get an applique, these are a nice pair of scissors. So these are the Karen K. Buckley Perfect Scissors. I'm reading it off the screen because I can't read behind the cardboard. Okay, so that's that. Now, one project that we worked on, and I showed this last week, and now I want to show you its update, and it's almost complete, but I wanted to show you what I was doing because I used to do this in the shop when we had panels. And then I remembered that I used to do this in the shop when I had panels, and I thought, oh, let's do this on our small table topper. So if you remember from last week, we had our, we showed the perfect pineapple trim tool, and I'm going to put this right here. So there's our blocks. And if you've noticed, they are now quilted. Well, let me explain to you how I went about doing the quilting on this. I'm actually going to flip it over to the back. So give me 1 second here. We're going to flip this over. Okay, so there is the back. Now that I'm showing you this because I want you to think about the back here while I explain how that was done. So those of us that have embroidery machines, if they have a large hoop area, a lot of these machines now can do quilting. And you can go to Embroidery Library, embroidery.com, or I don't know, you pick a site. Any awesome machine embroidery site has quilting patterns. And what you can do is download those patterns in your embroidery machine, put them on a flash stick, put them in the machine. And if you have a small quilt top or like a panel that you want to quilt, then you can actually upload the design onto there, and basically you're making a sandwich just like you would for regular quilting. You would put your backing, your batting, and your top down, and then tell the machine to go ahead and stitch out the design. So for small projects, you know, it's actually a kind of a neat tool, because if you had a large quilt, the rehooping of this process would take you all day. But for smaller projects, like I said, table topper size or table runner or panel, you would be able to do that. Now, the trick to it is making sure that everything, of course, stays straight, and that you download the right size for your patterns. And one of the tricks that I use when I'm doing this is I will I will spray a little bit of spray based, or spray glue, but it's more like spray based. It's like spray 505 because it's very lightweight kind of stuff. And basically what you do is you would put that on your backing, then you'd put down your batting and your top layer, and that would make your sandwich, and that will hold that in place. Now, I did do a YouTube video on this process this week when I was making this table topper, well, more like a candle mat. So you will be seeing an upload in the next couple of days for that YouTube video on how exactly you upload the design, hoop the design, and then stitch it out. So if you have an embroidery machine, or you're thinking about getting an embroidery machine, this is one of those things that you can do that it gives you more of an extension to the embroidery machine. A lot of people just use their embroidery machine to put like monograms on towels, or I don't know, whatever, some crafty project. They make purses in the hoops, wallets in the hoops, those kinds of things. But this gives you a quilting option as well with your embroidery machine. So again, it's usually the machines that have a little bit of a bigger hoop size. Even a 5x7 hoop size, you can do small quilting projects. You just have to watch what you're uploading and downloading from your embroidery websites. So that's basically another idea for use for your embroidery machine. If you've never done that, give it a try. But again, I'll link a video, my YouTube video, on how to do this process, and we'll put it in next week's newsletter so that you can see how this works. So that's basically all that's happening this week. I don't have a fabric bundle to show. Shame on me. It's been kind of a crazy week, so we just don't have a fabric bundle to show, but we will work on getting several more fabric bundles ready for you for next week. And we hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I hope you had a good day, or hope you're having a good good rest of the day. You are loved. Everybody is loved, and we just are so happy that you've joined us and that you are a part of our little community here. And again, if you don't get our newsletter, make sure that you subscribe over on my website. I'd love to have you join us. And we are going to say have a great weekend. And again, comment below if you've gone ahead and tried any of these notions. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And if you have machine quilted with your embroidery machine, let me know how that went. Or if you have any questions, let me know. And we're just going to say have a great weekend. We're happy you joined us, and take care till next time. Bye-bye.